The Social Media Union Podcast.
Hi, welcome to the next episode of the Social Media Union Podcast. It is lovely to have you listening. So thank you very much for being here today. Just a little housekeeping from me before we get started with our brilliant guest today. Just a reminder for you all to head in regularly to the forum on Discord. There's loads going on over there. And if you've got any problems, woes, awesome stuff you just want to share, then head over there and get talking to fellow members. That's exactly what they're there for, to bounce things off, and also for you as well to provide feedback for people if that's what they're after as well, and help answer questions. So without further ado, hi Rachel, it's such a pleasure to have you here today. What I do with all our guests is ask you to introduce yourself. You'll do a much better job of it than me.
Of course. Well, hi, thank you so much for having me. It's really, really lovely to be on. So I'm Rachel. I am a creative consultant, which is, it's always really hard to choose your name, isn't it, when you're self-employed? Like, not your name, but your business name or what you do. And creative consultant is something I've landed on because actually what I love doing most is helping small business owners with the creative side of their business. And a lot of that is content, which I know, especially at the moment, it feels like content is just like, it's a hot topic, but maybe not in the right way. Like people are feeling really frustrated with content at the moment. And my main mission is just to help creatives find their creativity in that again and just find a bit more fun and joy with it while getting the results as well. So yeah, a lot of that is Pinterest because that's one of my favorite platforms, and I know that's what we're going to chat about today. So yeah, that's me.
Yeah, awesome. Because I tell you, I was so keen to have you on the podcast because I've been in social for a very long time, longer than I usually care to say too often. And Pinterest is just one of those platforms it's never been our key focus. And I think certainly with some of our clients, it should be. There's so much, when Pinterest for so many years wasn't really driving much e-commerce traffic and all that kind of stuff. And I'm so impressed by what they've done in the last few years. Like, I don't know much of the background. I definitely haven't done my research into it, but I'm so impressed. We know with one client last year, actually towards the end of last year, full e-commerce site, and we got a specialist in to come and just like work with us and kind of just tinker around with their Pinterest account. And literally within 24 hours, the traffic to the website went like through the roof. And I was like, oh my God,
yeah,
I can't believe we haven't been utilizing this platform. So I'm really, really interested, like myself, this is very self-serving to kind of hear more from you today about Pinterest. So let's get on to questions. So I've got 3 Pinterest related questions for you today. And question number 1, why is Pinterest so important to a social media strategy? And why is it often, for people like myself and us seasoned experts, that we don't maximize its potential?
Yes, I love this question. And I also love what you were saying about the last few years on Pinterest, because it really has been quite an exciting time on Pinterest in the last 2 or 3 years. They've really stepped into, sometimes I like to say it's like a Pinterest renaissance. Like, it really feels like, I think maybe
I love that.
yeah, it just feels exciting on there at the moment. And I think what they've done really, really well is they've picked up on what people don't like about being online, and they've done the opposite. And they've really stepped into this thing of we're the positive platform. We're the platform where people go to it, get inspired for their ideal life. And they call themselves an online oasis as well. So I think a lot of that is kind of adding into that feeling of excitement over there at the moment. And that's why it's kind of really picked up over the last couple of years. So I love that you mentioned that. But why is it so important, and why do we sort of forget about it? I think the reason why it's so important is that it is a really sustainable part of your content marketing strategy. And the reason why I kind of call it content marketing strategy is because it's not really social media in the same sense of other social media platforms. It has social elements, but the main sort of function of Pinterest is it's a search engine. So it's actually the second biggest search engine after Google.
Oh, I did not know that. That's very
Yeah.
cool.
So it's huge. And I think it's like up there with YouTube as well, but like it's definitely visual wise, it's like it's one of the biggest search engines. So not being on Pinterest, sometimes I would say it's kind of like counting yourself out of Google. And I think sometimes when we do our work for like getting seen on Google, and I know for me that slips off my to-do list as well, but we know it's really important because it's long-term marketing, it's adding sustainability and like an evergreen nature to our content online. But that's sometimes not as like shiny and sexy as doing like Instagram or TikTok or something where you get instant. I mean, the
Yeah.
instant results that we get on these platforms aren't even necessarily like results, but it's those little things that they build into the platforms to keep us there, like likes, comments, like that sort of instantaneous dopamine hit. And
Mm,
Pinterest doesn't have as much of that, but what it does have on the other side is long-term evergreen results where, I mean, you mentioned about the website traffic just now, that if you put a bit of patience in at the beginning, pins can literally bring you website traffic for years. Like it can really, you can have one pin that still gets views, impressions, website traffic, and you'll look at it and it's like, oh, this pin's from 2017 and I'm still getting like 100 people coming onto my website, you know, every week from it. And that's the power of Pinterest. But because it takes a little bit of patience to see those things racking up, sometimes we just let it slide off the to-do list. So that's my theory anyway.
I think we can all be guilty of that, and like wanting to have that like immediate rush of, oh
Yeah.
my god, look how well this is doing, and with the likes and with the comments. But it can be like, it's just probably such a like sort of basic comment, but it's so sad to see something you've worked so hard on like just disappear. Like it's just gone, you know, like people are excited about it for a day, 2 days, and it's something you've probably been working on, you know, not straight for weeks, but certainly like from a content brainstorm, you know, plan like for weeks before to then the execution of it, and then it actually goes out. And to be able to have content that you create that actually just continues to have life, and that's, you know, the benefits of being on those content marketing platforms is Pinterest and YouTube being the two main ones, that they're there forever and they keep generating that content. Yeah, because it is really sad, and especially like now the focus on reels and that kind of stuff. Like, yes, I know that they have a bit of life to them, and probably more so than obviously than a story, but yeah, to see your hard work actually continue to be useful is extremely much more rewarding.
Yeah, 100%. And it's, you know, I think we're so used to that feeling of putting loads of effort into something that only takes us so far, that I think sometimes we take, when someone is just starting out on Pinterest, they take that energy onto Pinterest. And it's almost like we forget that it can last for a lot longer. And then I think as soon as you start seeing the results of that, it actually makes it feel more worthwhile to go there, because you can also, there's nothing stopping you putting that content that you put on other platforms on Pinterest. Like, I really see it as a place where you can repurpose everything as well and just like give things a future life, which makes all the work that you're putting in so much more satisfying. Because, you know, I think that's part of the problem with content at the moment. Like, I think people feel like they're putting loads of effort in and there's not much return. But if you can get more eyes on it for longer, it's just a lot more satisfying, isn't it? I think.
I completely agree, and feeds my ego nicely for something you've created to just keep
Yeah,
generating the
definitely.
clicks like, through to the sites. And I think we talk about this quite a lot, but actually remembering with social and so many people I see like probably more from the kind of business owner side of things or client side of things, it is about that immediate gratification and being able to put cool numbers in a report.
Mm.
But ultimately our job is to, I'm kind of in two minds with say it, but like sell more stuff. So
Yeah.
whether that's of a service or a product, and you can have a great video that goes viral and that's amazing and you've got like loads of eyes on it, but has it actually generated your end goal? Like, has it sold more stuff? Has it driven people to the website? Have they signed up to the newsletter? And I think so often people forget about the whole business case for this work that we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that was probably like a whole nother podcast. Actually, I could talk about that all day. Okay, so Pinterest has, we alluded to this earlier, but Pinterest has evolved so much over the years. And in my opinion, like one of the ones to do it the most successfully, and probably in a more wholesome way, I suppose, than the other platforms. Not naming any names, obviously, but can you tell us so they've had this incredible growth over the last few years, but what can we kind of expect from them in 2022?
Yes, so I love this question as well. So last year, actually in 2021, they basically named the year the name of not the name of the creator, the year of the creator, and creator is basically what they call their creators, the people who are creating original content on the platform. And what they basically did there was they put loads of their attention and focus on those of us who are building businesses and growing a presence on Pinterest, and they put loads of things in place to help us do that. And they also put in loads of things behind the scenes, like they do monthly webinars where you can literally go on a webinar with the team every month, and they talk you through the trends, they talk you through any updates and like how to get the most out of the platform. So I think that energy of creators first is really carrying through this year, and they're just basically building on that. And I think that's sort of why, like you're saying, they've sort of developed in like a wholesome way. It's because they're really listening to like what people want, as well as their creators, their users as well, because obviously they need to keep the users happy. So some things that we're likely to see, definitely the continued growth of idea pins. I'm not sure if you've seen idea pins yet, but they are the sort of newest shiny new toy on Pinterest. And they're basically a multi-page pin. They've been around for a while. It's not new. You know, they've been around for like the last sort of year or so. They were testing the year before that as well, but they are big news at the moment on Pinterest, idea pins. And the interesting thing about idea pins is that they have a call to action basically at the end of the pin, which asks you to follow the creator who made the pin. So this is another part of this kind of shift on Pinterest in the last couple of years. It always used to be sort of like an anonymous platform in a way. Obviously you could follow people, you've always been able to follow people, but I don't know about you, but like I never really used to follow people. Like it wasn't a big thing. You just sort of searched for things, and you sort of were more in touch with the ideas rather than the people behind the ideas. And I think sometimes that's what gives Pinterest a little bit of a bad reputation as well. I could talk for hours about that. But what they're doing at the moment is they're really putting the creator at the forefront. And what that is doing is it's allowing us to grow a presence there so we can nurture our audience on Pinterest as well as off Pinterest. And I think that's one of the biggest shifts, and it's already happening. It already has been happening, but I think that will just continue into this year. And they're adding all sorts of other things to help us do that. They've got, I think it's called Creator Tools, or it might be, no, it's Creator Rewards they're bringing in. I'm not sure when. I think it's testing in America at the moment, but it's coming in at some point this year, I think. And it's basically where they will set a brief and you can be paid as a creator, like a bonus for creating content around that brief. That's sort of like, I don't know loads of details on that, but they mentioned it in one of their events. Those events, I'm usually there like with my notebook, like watching every single second, like tell me more. So yeah, that's quite fun. They're also bringing in shopping updates so you can check out directly on the platform. So yeah, lots of good stuff.
That sounds so interesting. And actually, I'm like jotting down my own notes while you're speaking.
Yeah.
I feel like so woefully uneducated about Pinterest, and I just think it's that one thing I really need to spend that time to do. And again, like because it feels wholesome and it's not, and I love that they're listening to users about what they want. You know, something that we want to do with SMU is get to a point where we have so many members that companies like Meta have to listen to us, because it's, and that's what Pinterest has done. They've actually like listened to users. Like, imagine being able to have a say on how Facebook Business Manager works. Like, that would be such a dream. I mean, like a nerdy dream, obviously. Like,
that's the kind of dreams
within
I
hours.
have.
And like, not exactly something I would talk about down at the pub and people would be like fascinated by the topic, but like to be able to have a say in that and for them to be listening is just something that I just think is really cool.
Yeah.
So can you tell us 3 things that you think our listeners probably aren't doing at the moment on Pinterest that they really should be? So that might be, you know, our listeners are a real mix of, you know, lots of brands, like agency side and in-house. It's kind of bearing that in mind as well.
Yeah, amazing. So I would say, I'm going to flip my notes over because I've written some down.
Nice. We like people that are prepared. This is great.
It's also because I could chat about it for hours, so it's more to like rein me in.
Yeah.
So the first thing I would say, going back to what we were saying about Pinterest being a search engine, the first thing that I see most people getting wrong is keywords and not using enough of them, or the right ones, or in the right places. So being sure, basically wherever you're putting text in on Pinterest, whether that's board titles, your bio, your pin titles, your pin descriptions, in all of those places, you want to be thinking about keywords and what someone who is looking for what you're offering, what they're typing into the search bar. And also on that note, I see people using words that only make sense to their brand in their keywords. But actually, one of my favorite stats from Pinterest is 97% of the searches on Pinterest are non-branded. So basically what that means is people are searching for what you offer, but not you. They don't know you yet a lot of the time when they're searching for you. So don't include like your sort of, I don't know, if you're selling a workshop, don't include the name of the workshop if it's not keyword friendly. Like, it's fine to call it something cool, but on Pinterest you want to just describe what it is, and that's the same for products as well. I see people who sell like jewelry using like human names, like, you know, the Elsa necklace or that sort of thing. You want to avoid that. So that's the first thing, keywords. The next thing is using idea pins. I just mentioned idea pins, which are the newest pin format. So loads of people have just sort of left them out, probably because, I mean, I get it. It's really frustrating to have to keep learning new things, and they've got a new builder. I will say it's way more intuitive and nice to use than, like, say, for example, Reels. It's actually a really nice builder if you use the phone app. But one of the things that puts people off them is they don't include an outbound link. So they don't include, you can't link to your website directly through an idea pin. And people got really frustrated with that at the start because they were like, well, what's the point? I want to be on Pinterest to grow my traffic. But as we were saying, they're about so much more than that. They're about like nurturing your audience, growing your presence. And also, I would argue, we post on Instagram every day without being able to post a direct link in our post, unless it's a story now. So I would argue that we don't always have to have a link on something to make it worthwhile. And they are getting amazing impressions at the moment. Like they have more of that immediate feel where they get impressions much quicker. People can react to them. And I actually did a little challenge for myself and a few other people as well in April. And I did an idea pin every day in April to see what would happen. And my engagement has increased by like 65%. So it's really interesting. They're worth doing. And then the third thing is keeping up to date with trends, because Pinterest is a very sort of, it's not all about trends, but if you can keep up to date with trends and work out how your business fits into them, you're going to get a much higher engagement rate, impressions rate, because as we know, it's a search engine. So if you can gear your work to what people are actively searching for, that is always going to help you be seen by more people. So that's my 3 things: keywords, idea pins, trends.
Okay, so that's what that's what I'm going to be doing after this. I feel like with every podcast I do, like I end up listening to our brilliant guests, and then I have so much homework to do afterwards.
Yeah,
from
sorry,
my
not
own
sorry.
work and from my clients, right? I've written down a client name, and I'm like, can't believe that we don't have a strategy for them for Pinterest. So yeah, we'll definitely be doing that today. Amazing. Thank you so much for those. That's just all like unbelievably helpful information. So really happy about that. I have one final question for you. We asked everyone this. Can you tell us what your favorite account is to follow on social?
Yes. So I really struggled with this because there's so many people I love following, but I was trying to think of someone who, whenever I see them pop up anywhere, I almost do like an internal like squeal of joy. And that is Furry Little Peach. I don't know if you've heard of her.
No, I haven't.
Oh, she's amazing. So she's Australia based, and she's on YouTube. She's an illustrator, and she is just like colorful, joyful. Her content is incredible. Like, she's just prolific on so many platforms. Like, she's huge on Instagram, she's huge on YouTube, and she makes these like vlogs, basically like studio vlogs that are like mini films. Like, they're just so beautifully made. And she has a really cute cat, and she's just one of those people where she's just so herself online in the best way that like you just can't help but love her. So that's my answer for that.
Thank you so much for that. I am definitely going to follow her immediately. I think we can all do with like a little bit more joy in our lives, and especially on these social media platforms and on Instagram. I thought I'd share one of my own as well. So it's a brand account, and I genuinely look forward to their stories every single day. And that's Lazy Oaf. So I don't know if you follow them, and I love their clothes so much. And a lot of my wardrobe is Lazy Oaf, but their social strategy, I just absolutely love it. Like, it's a bit bonkers, and I love it for that. The imagery, I just adore. Like, I just don't think I'm creative enough to be able to create what they create. But every single day on stories, they just share like just very joyful things, and that'll be like a hamster in a tiny top hat, or someone doing something absolutely ridiculous, and it's just that kind of like just a few minutes of like genuine joy. So I just think it's really smart when like, from talking about it from then a social media like expert's opinion, it's such a smart thing to do. Like, I should know better than to be tricked into like looking forward to it every day.
Yeah.
I know what they're trying to achieve with it, but I can't help it. I just love it so much. I just think it's a really lush account. So that's my favorite one. That's what I'm sharing today.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to go and follow them. I'm definitely like really aware of the brand and their clothes, but I don't follow them on social, I don't think. So that's what I'm doing after this.
Good. Oh, well, I'm glad to also provide some inspiration today. Rachel, thank you so much for today. It's been an absolute joy to have you here. And the last thing really is for you to tell us where we can find you on social. Feel free to plug anything you like. Where can we hear more from you, see more from you? Tell everyone listening.
Oh, amazing. Thank you. So I am just Rachel Emma Waring everywhere. Waring is spelled Waring. So that's me on Pinterest, on Instagram, on TikTok. Haven't done loads on TikTok yet, but I'm getting there. And that's my website as well, rachelemmawaring.com. And Pinterest wise, I've got quite a few things coming up at the moment. If you're getting started on Pinterest and you want all the basics, I've got a free guide, which is basically linked at the top of my website. I've got links to it everywhere. So just go to my website, you can find that. I also have a beginner's workshop if you want a little bit more sort of details to get you really going on there. It's called Beginner Pinners. Again, that's on my website. And excitingly, my next big launch that's coming up is I'm running my group training, Ignite Your Pinterest Strategy, and that is going to come back at the end of May, which is really exciting. It's my favorite thing to teach. It's basically like 6 weeks. Here's my Pinterest strategy. There we go. Off you go.
Oh, nice. Do you know what strategy is my favorite thing to teach too? Like, I do a workshop from time to time, like usually just when I'm asked, like I'm hopeless at selling them. and in fact I'm doing one in tomorrow. I just love them. It's
Yeah.
so, it just brings me so much joy. And not putting words in your mouth, but to be able to share with people like such a straightforward way, it's just like, it's not difficult. Like
Yeah.
the general principles of it, getting it right is, but like filling out like I have a template, like a strategy template, and getting people to just fill it out, like watching them think about the kind of content that they're going to do, and really going like back to like the basics on what their business is and what they're trying to achieve. It's a genuine joy to watch. Like I just love doing them. They're so much
Yeah.
fun.
It's so fun. It's really satisfying as well. And like you say, it's a lot of it isn't difficult. It's just, I think actually a lot of it is motivation and just like
Yeah,
finding the time to put it on
yeah.
your to-do list.
And finding the right, because we know our stuff, and people that attend workshops or do training, like they know their stuff, but they don't
Yeah.
know this. So I always just think that kind of, it's why, like, I think it sounds a bit ugh, but like that knowledge sharing, it's like, I'm an expert in this and you're an expert in this, so let's do that share, and
Yeah.
hopefully kind of, we all kind of pick up from each other, and it's nice.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was
I
very
love it.
whimsical.
No, I love it.
Thank you so much again. Really great to have you on today. And yeah, well, hopefully everyone head off and follow Rachel everywhere that you can, and hear more from her on an ongoing basis.
Oh,
So thank you very much to everyone tuning in today. New podcasts will drop soon. Keep an eye on Apple, Spotify podcasts, wherever you subscribe to the private RSS feed. And you can also get them in your library on the socialmediaunion.com website. All right, cheers.